I's to buy the bills a boat, and I's to buy the sails her, and I's to buy the catches of fish, and I brings them home to Lizer. Years ago, when I was a young woman living in Montreal, I received a call from my aunt in Carbonear, Newfoundland, asking me, Mary, would you like to come home for a summer holiday? So I called my best friend, she was a lady from Switzerland, and asked if she'd like to come with me. She said, oh my God, I have always wanted to go to Newfoundland. So the following week, we were there, and after a good night's rest, decided to show our town. It's a beautiful town. It's surrounded in maple trees, it's church steeples. It's right on the North Atlantic seacoast. It goes back to the 1500s. So I spent most of the morning showing her different historical sites in the town. So with all this sightseeing, I felt pangs of hunger. So I looked at my watch and realized it was almost noon. So I turned to my friend Regula and I said, have you had a boiled dinner? I said, well, it's a traditional dinner here in Newfoundland that they have about noon across the island. This is cabbage and potatoes and turnip and carrots and onions and salt beef. And I said, on the top there's a pudding which is in a bag. It is steamed. It's usually a blueberry pudding, and it's served for dessert after with blueberry sauce over it. And I said, I know exactly where to get my dinner. I said, my friend Catherine always makes one at noon. I said, she see that little house on the hill with the red paint around the windows? I said, that's Catherine's house. So up we go. I opened the door, porch door, and sure enough, the scent of the boiled dinner, God, she said, this is making my mouth water. So I took her over, took the top off the boiler. I said, sit down, I'll get you a plate. So I went to the cupboard and I got two of the largest plates I could find. And I dished up a big plate for her and a big one for me, and we were scoffing it down when all of a sudden, the room went dim. I looked up and saw a woman, probably about 300 pounds, standing in the doorway with her hands on her hips. And she was looking very crooked. I figured, well, she's a friend of Catherine's. So I said, hi. She didn't answer. I said, so where's Catherine? She said, I wouldn't know. She lives next door. Well, we were out of there like a shot. Almost knocked Mrs. over. The only thing kept her standing was her 300 pounds. And into Catherine's, again, it was a little white house with red painting around it. And finally, when we finished laughter, we were able to tell her what had happened next door. She said, you couldn't have done it to a better person. She said, she's the most miserable sod on the whole hill. And years later, Regula was to tell me that whenever she had a bad day, all she had to do is think of that day and that boiled dinner, she said, and she could sit down and just lose it again. So I said, I'm glad you enjoyed it. No regrets, I hope. She said, well, yes, one. She said, I never got to finish that lovely boiled dinner. I don't want your maggoty fish, that's no good in winter. I can get as good as that down in Bonavista. Sally goes to church every morning, not to sit nor listen nor hear, but to see the fella from Fortune what was down here fishing last year. Susie had a brand new baby. Father said that he didn't care, 'cause he liked that fella from Fortune what was down here fishing last year. If you want your eyeball straightened, just come out tonight with me, and you'll have to wear your glasses at the Kellogg Roosery.